You should have in front of you the Chapter 1 review. I'm going to do a few selected problems from this. Now, the Chapter 1 review is kind of a brush up on the things that you've already done. And if you don't know all these things, it's quite all right. We're going to brush up on these skills of the first week of school, so that we're all on the same page as we move forward. So, starting off with the 1.1 variables and expressions, what they're asking us to do here is take a mathematical statement and turn it into a mathematical equation. So here it says 1/4 of a number n. Now, I put emphasis on the word of because of implies multiplication. So if we start off here and take a look at 1/4, well, 1/4 we know to be written as 1/4, and then we say of, so we have multiplied by the number n. So whatever number that may be. So 1/4 times n. Now on the next next section, 1.2, it talks about the order of operations. And the order of operations is extremely important because it keeps everybody in line. If we all follow the same order of operations across the world, then we should be able to write any mathematical expression and be able to simplify it the same, no matter if we're in the United States or in England or in Australia. It doesn't matter. Anywhere across the world, we should be able to come up with the same answer. So with the order of operations, we start off with the parentheses first. Right? Parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. PEMDAS, right? So P, parentheses, we have 1 plus 3, which we know to be 4. And then everything stays inside those parentheses. Keep it all the same. Now 4 to the power of 2 means 4 times 4, which we know to be 16. All right. And moving forward. And this next one is talking about evaluating the expression given the value for y, and they tell us the y value here is 2. So I'm just going to take the y value out and replace that y value with a 2. Now notice how I put the 2 in parentheses. So I took the y out and I put in those parentheses here with that 2. And now I can see that 8 minus 2 gives us 6. The next section talking about real numbers and things on a number line. Well, here we're talking about a square root. And the square root, I ask myself when I see these, I say what times itself gives me 25. Well, I know that 5 times 5 is 25, so I could say that 5 is the simplified version of the square root of 25. Now, I also know that negative 5 times negative 5 would give me 25, so I need to say that it's the positive and negative 5 here. Plus or minus 5 would be the answer to that.
Teachers, we could really use your help in the South Gym handing out schedules and ID cards. Thank you. Make your way to the South Gym if you can help hand out schedules and ID cards.
Now the next one, it's asking us to identify whether or not these are real, or excuse me, the subset of the real numbers in which this belongs to. Well, pi is a number that never is never ending, never repeating. It's 3.1415, yada, 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 and it keeps going on and on and on and on. Never ending, never repeating. So that lets me know that it is irrational. Because it doesn't necessarily make sense. Irrational. I'm learning how to write like a 5th grader. Okay, on the next section it's talking about properties of real numbers. Now we can find this on 1.4 in our books, and there's 2 pages of this. And now here we're talking about the identity. Well, this one in particular is the identity property of multiplication. Since anything times 1 is itself, then this tells us that we have the identity property of multiplication. All right. When handling formulas like n plus m minus p, and we know the values for m, n, and p, what I like to do is replace the replace the variables that are given in the formula. I like to put in a parenthesis here, an open set of parentheses for that n, and then I'm going to do another open set of parentheses for the m, and then I'm going to take away an open set of parentheses that would be there for p. And now I can just put in the value of n. And when n, they tell us, is 5, so I'm going to put a 5 here. A little 5 there. And then I'm going to add the value of m. Well, m is negative 4. And then it asks us to subtract the value for p, and p is 1.5. So I'm going to put that 1.5 in there. All right, so now we can see that 5 plus a negative 4 is the same thing as saying 5 minus 4, which was 1. And then I can take away the value of 1.5. Right? And then I can take 1.5 away from 1, and I'll know that that's going to be negative 0.5. Now here it's asking us to, in section, excuse me, apologies. I'm going to jump around to the end here. I'm going to jump right to the end, and I'm going to do problem number 3 from section 1.9. Now it's going to ask us if this ordered pair is a solution to the given equation. And notice here I have an equation, whereas this is an expression. Here I have an equation. And I want you to take a note. What makes this an equation, whereas this is just an expression? So think about those types of things. Here, what I'm going to do is just plug my x, y ordered pair into this equation, where y, let's make sure we separate this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to separate that problem. That guy goes over there. All right. So I'm going to put my value for y here, and it's equal to the opposite of whatever x is. And then I'm going to take away 2. All right, and I know y is negative 4, so negative 4. And then I got that from the ordered pair that they gave us right here. And x is 2, so I'm going to plug the 2 in here. And this tells me that I'm taking away 2. That was already given. So I can just simplify now. Negative 4 equals, well, negative 2 minus 2 is negative 4. So it does say negative 4 equals negative 4. That's true. So yes, terrible handwriting here. Yes, this is a solution to, this ordered pair is a solution to the equation. So anytime we multiply a negative times a positive, the product is going to be negative. So I can go ahead and say negative, and then now 3 times 12, we all know to be 36. All right, now coming here, we're just going to try and find the quotient of this. Now when I'm dividing a negative with a negative, I know I'm going to end up with a positive. So I know I'm dividing 250 is being divided by 25. And how many times does 25 go into 250? Exactly 10 times. Right? And since those are both negatives, and here we can even just put those negatives there and see. I have negative 250 divided by negative 25. A negative divided by a negative is a positive, giving me a positive 10. I'm going to put a box around my answer there. Okay, here we're going to take advantage of we're going to take a look at the distribution property. I'm going to make this bigger. Yeah. All right. So now I'm going to take a look at the distribution property here. Now, why am I saying distribution? All I see is a negative in front of this binomial, which is inside these parentheses. It's 6 plus d. But this is really saying negative 1 times 6 plus d. And negative 1 times 6 plus d. Well, I need to distribute this negative 1. I want to distribute him to both the 6 and the d. Right? So I'm going to say negative 1 times 6 is negative 6, and negative 1 times d is negative d. And that's all we have to do with that problem.